Chapter 1. The Bold Secretary. Denise Chung had 3 goals every morning. 1. Get to work 10 minutes early. 2. Brew Daniel Su's coffee exactly how he liked it. Black, 2 sugars hotter than hell. 3. Flirt with him so outrageously that HR might need a therapist. It was a routine she had perfected over the past 2 years. And though her efforts had been fruitless so far, she believed in perseverance. And Daniel Su? Well, he believed in noise-canceling earbuds and closing his office door. "Morning, Denise," mumbled Kevin from accounting as she sashayed past in heels that were far too high for her balance. "Kevin," she said dramatically, flipping her hair, "isn't today just a gorgeous day to be in love?" Kevin blinked. Sure." She breezed past him, clipboard clutched to her chest like a damsel's love letter, and headed to the executive floor, where her one true purpose waited. Daniel Su, CEO of Su Holdings, business prodigy, and the emotionally unavailable man of her dreams. The man himself sat at his desk with his usual impassive expression, typing furiously. His black suit was sharp, his tie darker than her last 3 heartbreaks, and his jawline could cut glass. Denise knocked on the glass wall that separated his office from the rest of the world and entered without waiting for a reply. She'd learned early that Daniel never said "come in anyway." "I brought your coffee, boss." She set the steaming cup down, watching him like a hopeful squirrel offering a peanut to a grizzly bear. Daniel didn't look up. "Thank you. I also printed your schedule for today, reorganized the supply cabinet, and updated your travel itinerary to include your horoscope. You're a Virgo rising, right? Very type A." His fingers paused mid-keystroke. He looked up slowly, eyes like sharpened obsidian. "I don't believe in horoscopes, Miss Chung." She winked. "That's exactly what a Virgo rising would say." Daniel sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose. "Denise, we've talked about boundaries." He grinned. "You talk about them. I professionally ignore them." At lunch she tried again. This time with a heart-shaped bento box she'd painstakingly made herself. "It's beef bulgogi shaped like your initials," she announced cheerfully in front of the entire executive team, plopping the box on the table where he ate. Daniel stared at the food. "Why are there edible googly eyes on this?" "They symbolize how I only have eyes for you." He stood up without touching the meal. "Miss Chung, may I see you in my office?" 10 minutes later, the bento sat in the trash can, and Denise sat in the chair across from Daniel's desk, unusually quiet. He leaned back, watching her with the detached scrutiny of a man who dissected quarterly profits for fun. "I appreciate your enthusiasm," he said carefully, "but your behavior has become disruptive. You're a capable assistant, but the theatrics are unprofessional." Denise looked up at him, eyes wide. "You're firing me?" "No," he said. "Not yet. But if this continues, you'll fall in love with me eventually?" "No. I'll relieve you from your position." The air left her lungs like a kicked balloon. "Oh," she said. For the first time Daniel looked uncertain. Maybe he hadn't expected her to deflate so fast. Maybe he thought she'd bounce back with another pun about his business assets. But Denise stood up quietly, smoothing her skirt. "Got it. Message received, Mr. Su. No more theatrics." And just like that she walked out of his office without another word. That night, Denise didn't practice her wink in the mirror like she usually did. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, questioning her entire approach. Maybe love couldn't be forced with grand gestures and edible confessions. Maybe she'd just been a fool in love with a man who barely noticed she was human. Still, when she finally fell asleep, her dreams were full of Daniel Su. Only this time she wasn't chasing him. He was chasing her. Chapter 2. The Final Straw. Monday arrived like a bad hangover, except Denise hadn't had a drop of alcohol. Only humiliation in slow, high-definition replay. She stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. "Today we are professional. We are composed. We are," her lip quivered. "Totally, definitely not thinking about Daniel Su and his ungrateful suit-wearing self. She slapped on some lipstick, adjusted her blazer, and marched into Su Holdings like she owned the place. If she couldn't win his heart, she could still ace her job. Or so she thought. "Morning, Denise," said Clara from HR, stopping her at the elevator with a grimace that screamed bad news. "Oh no," Denise said. "Am I finally being arrested for emotional arson?" Clara blinked. "What? Oh. But Mr. Su wants to see you in the conference room. Immediately." Conference room? Not his office? That wasn't good. Denise arrived to find Daniel sitting alone at the long table, fingers steepled, expression unreadable. There were 2 folders in front of him. She didn't even have a chance to open her mouth before he gestured to the seat across from him. "Miss Chung," he began. "This isn't easy, but I think we've reached a professional impasse." He tried to laugh. "Is that corporate for you're fired but we're pretending you're not?" "You're not being fired," he said firmly. "You're being transferred." Denise blinked. Transferred. To the logistics department. Effective immediately. That was 3 floors down. Far from the executive offices. Far from him. Her throat tightened. "Why?" Daniel sighed. "Your work ethic is commendable. But your enthusiasm has disrupted workflow too many times. You're talented, but not a good fit here anymore." He slid one of the folders toward her. "This is your transfer file. HR will brief you on your new responsibilities." "And the other folder?" she asked quietly. Daniel hesitated. "A list of every incident. Documented by your colleagues. Including the time you installed a scented candle in my office labeled, 'Love Me Tender.'" She winced. That was lemon vanilla. Very professional. "Miss Chung." "Right. Not the time." The logistics department was the corporate equivalent of exile. It smelled like printer ink and stale instant noodles. The break room microwave had been colonized by something green and fuzzy. Her new supervisor, a woman named Linda with a bob haircut sharp enough to slice dreams, handed her a stack of inventory reports and pointed to a lonely desk by the window. Denise sat down and stared at the spreadsheet. Not one Daniel in sight. No tailored suits. No heated glances or glares. No secret thrill of delivering coffee to a man who never asked for it. Just paper. Numbers. Silence. And a strange ache in her chest she hadn't expected. For the first week she tried to distract herself. She organized the supply room. Learned everyone's coffee orders. Took an online course titled, "How to Stop Loving Your Boss in 10 Steps, or at least pretend to." But none of it worked. The truth was she missed him. Not just the crush. Not just the thrill. She missed talking to him, even if half of it was him telling her to stop. She missed watching his expression change when he was deep in thought. She even missed the way he said "Miss Chung," like it was a full sentence loaded with exasperation and occasionally, a hint of something softer. One day, Denise caught a glimpse of him in the elevator as she passed the lobby. He didn't see her. He looked tired. Overworked. Alone. Her heart twisted. She dropped her gaze and kept walking. No more antics. No more heart-shaped lunches or desperate declarations. She'd burned too bright and he'd shielded his eyes. Now she had to figure out how to stop hurting. That night she lay on her couch wrapped in a fuzzy blanket, watching a drama about a secretary who also fell in love with her boss. But in that version the boss chased her in the rain with flowers and a dramatic apology. Denise snorted. "Yeah, right," she muttered, wiping away a tear with a potato chip. But even as the credits rolled she whispered, "Maybe someday, someone will chase me too." She just didn't expect it might be Daniel Su. Not yet. But soon. Chapter 3: The Cold CO. Daniel Su had a problem. Not the kind that could be solved with a spreadsheet or a sharp memo. No, this was worse. His office had been disturbingly quiet for the past 2 weeks. No perfume trailing through the air. No ridiculous heart-shaped paperclips on his reports. No Denise Chung bursting in with coffee compliments, or yet another pun about synergizing their souls. It was peaceful, and he hated it. At first he'd felt relief. The office ran smoother. Meetings started on time. No one dropped by unannounced with cupcakes iced with tiny versions of his face. But as the silence stretched on, a strange weight settled on his chest. He found himself staring at the empty desk outside his office. Sometimes his eyes drifted to the elevator at exactly 9:03 a.m., her usual arrival time, only to find no one there. And every time someone said the word report, his brain helpfully added, "Did you know Denise once submitted a quarterly update with the subtitle, 'Fall in Love with These Numbers'?" Daniel rubbed his temples. What was wrong with him? "Hey boss," said Claire from HR, sticking her head in. "Just checking in about the team-building retreat next month. You still want to hold it at that beach resort?" He blinked. "I scheduled a team-building retreat?" Claire looked confused. "Denise submitted the paperwork 2 months ago. Said it would strengthen interdepartmental intimacy." "Of course she did." Daniel cleared his throat. "Cancel it." Clara hesitated. She already paid the deposit. Out of her own bonus. He paused. "Leave it," he said quietly. That night Daniel worked late. He told himself it was because the quarterly board meeting was approaching. But really he just didn't want to go home to his too quiet penthouse and wonder what Denise was doing. Was she okay? Did she hate him? Did she regret ever making a fool of herself? He never meant to hurt her. He thought he was doing the professional, responsible thing. He was distracting. Reckless. She turned his life into a whirlwind of pink folders, flirty glances, and uncontrollable chaos. But for the first time in his life, he missed the chaos. On Friday he took the elevator down to logistics. It was not a glamorous floor. It smelled like toner and despair. He scanned the room until he saw her, curled over a desk, her hair up in a messy bun, squinting at a shipment report like it had personally betrayed her. She hadn't seen him yet. He lingered in the doorway, frozen. This woman had once serenaded him in the break room with a ukulele. Now she was quiet, focused, distant. Someone else's employee. Denise finally looked up. Their eyes met. She blinked, startled. "Mr. Sue." He cleared his throat. "Just passing through." She nodded politely. "Need help finding something?" There was no flirtation in her voice. No sly smile. Just professionalism. It unnerved him. "No," he said. "Carry on." He turned and walked away, but not before glancing back once. She was already looking back down like he'd never been there at all. That night he opened his laptop to finish a report, and found her old memos still saved on his desktop. Title: Quarterly Growth and Possibly Emotional Forecast. Subtitle: Love is an Investment and I'm All In. He read it twice. Then he clicked Save As and renamed it Don't Delete This. The next day he drafted an email to her. Subject: Office Supplies Transfer Approval. Denise. Hope Logistics is treating you well. Let me know if you need anything. Daniel Sue. He stared at it for 5 full minutes, then deleted the whole thing. Instead he opened his calendar and typed in a new entry. Wednesday 10 a.m. Walk past logistics by accident. Daniel Sue was a cold man. But not as cold as he used to be. And somewhere deep down, under all the suits, spreadsheets, and steel-hearted logic, he was starting to thaw. All because of a girl who used to annoy the life out of him. And now haunted his every thought. Chapter 4: The Breakthrough. On Wednesday at 10 a.m. sharp, Daniel Sue stood in the elevator, holding a file he absolutely did not need to deliver in person. He told himself it was just a coincidence he was heading to logistics. Just a quick check-in. A courtesy visit. Not because he'd typed "bump into Denise" into his calendar like a lunatic. The elevator dinged. He stepped out, rehearsing something neutral to say. "Need any support down here? Or maybe just nice weather." But Denise wasn't at her desk. She wasn't anywhere. His chest tightened in a way he didn't appreciate. "Where's Miss Chung?" he asked Linda, the logistics supervisor. Linda gave him a look that said, "You are not subtle." She took a personal day. "First one since her transfer," she added pointedly. Daniel nodded stiffly and left. Back in his office, he sat at his desk, staring blankly at his inbox. Something was off. He was the one who asked for the distance, but now he couldn't stop wondering if she was okay. He was moving on. Someone else had made her laugh today. The idea made his gut twist. He stood abruptly, grabbed his coat and left. Denise Chung was not okay. She was sitting in a nearly empty cafe, poking at a slice of matcha cheesecake like it had personally offended her. She hadn't planned on taking a day off. But when she'd seen Daniel walk past her department on Monday, twice, without stopping to say more than 2 words, she'd snapped. It hurt. It hurt more than she wanted to admit. Because for all her shameless pursuit, her heart had been real. She'd fallen for him, hard, clumsy, and totally sincere. And now she was sitting alone, replaying every embarrassing moment like a greatest hits album of personal regret. "Mind if I sit?" She looked up and froze. Daniel Su, in a tailored coat, in her cafe, looking like regret wrapped in cashmere. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice unsteady. "I took a walk." "In the exact direction of this cafe?" she asked, arching an eyebrow. He hesitated, then sighed. "I wanted to see you." Her heart did a weird, panicked somersault. "Okay," she said carefully. "You've seen me. Now what?" Daniel sat across from her. He looked uncomfortable, like every emotion was a foreign language he hadn't studied. "I might have made a mistake," he said quietly. Denise blinked. "What kind of mistake? Firing your favorite secretary for being madly in love with you? Or relocating her to logistics like she was some contagious love disease?" "I didn't fire you." "You might as well have," she snapped, then softened. "You took away the one place I felt like I belonged. I know I was too much. I know I crossed lines. But I never faked what I felt." "I know," he said. She blinked. "Then why?" He looked down at his hands. "Because I didn't know what to do with someone who made me feel everything I've spent my whole life trying not to feel." Her breath caught. "I'm not good at this," he said. "I'm good at numbers. Strategy. Controlling outcomes. But you..." He looked at her, eyes finally raw and unguarded. "You terrify me." Denise laughed. It wasn't mean. Just surprised. "I terrify you? You make me want things I don't know how to have. You throw glitter at spreadsheets. You make jokes when I'm trying to be serious. See me. Even when I don't want to be seen." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "And what do you want, Daniel?" He looked at her, eyes dark and steady. "I want you back." She stared at him, stunned. "As my secretary?" He smiled just a little. "As Denise Chung. However you'll let me have you." She didn't cry, even though she kind of wanted to. Instead, she picked up her fork, stabbed a piece of cheesecake and held it out to him. He blinked. "It's matcha," she said. "You hate sweets. Consider this payback." He leaned forward, took the bite from her fork and winced. "It's awful." He grinned. "You'll learn to love it." His eyes didn't leave hers. "I think I'm already learning." Outside the cafe it began to rain, soft and warm. Daniel held the door open for her, awkward and hesitant. Denise pulled out an umbrella from her tote and held it over them both. "Sharing my umbrella now?" he asked. "Only because I'm your terrifying ex-secretary." "Correction," he said quietly. "My very important future something." She smiled. And for once said nothing flirty, nothing outrageous. Just took his hand. And held on. Chapter 5. Uncharted Territory. Denise Chung had never been a woman of half measures. When she loved, it was loud. When she hurt, it was spectacular. But now things were quiet. Not cold like the first few weeks in logistics. And not suffocating, like the days when her heart twisted every time Daniel Su said, "Miss Chung," with that unreadable expression. This quiet was warm, tentative, hopeful, and it terrified her more than rejection ever had. Daniel had texted her every day since their cafe conversation. Nothing too dramatic, just things like, "You left your coffee mug in the boardroom. I washed it. It said Boss Babe, by the way. Reminder. You said you'd lend me that weird romantic thriller you claim changed your life. Murder in Milan? Do you still hate elevators with strangers? I cleared one at 9:02. Yours." She hadn't responded to all of them. Not because she was mad, but because every text made her heart do that embarrassing flutter thing she thought she'd outgrown. It felt like they were circling something fragile. Something new. And Denise didn't want to crash into it like she always did, head first and recklessly. One morning, Daniel showed up outside logistics. No suit jacket. No assistant. Just Daniel Su holding a paper bag. "Truce donut," he said, lifting the bag. She arched a brow. "What flavor?" "Lemon vanilla. Thought I'd lean into your scented candle legacy." She snorted. "You remember that?" "I remember everything." That made her heart skip, and this time she didn't pretend otherwise. They ate on the steps outside the building. Denise picked at the frosting while Daniel tried not to look like a CO slumming it on concrete. "So," she said after a long silence, "what is this?" He blinked. "Donuts." "No. Gimme. Post-transfer." "Post," she gestured vaguely. "Whatever this emotional hostage situation is." Daniel set his donut down carefully. "I don't know yet," he said honestly. "But I know I don't want to pretend you don't matter to me anymore." Her breath caught. "I spent so long pushing people away," he added. "You barged through every wall I had. And I hated it until I didn't." Denise stared at him. "You know," she said slowly, "most people flirt by complimenting, not by relocating someone to a less ventilated floor." He smiled just a little. "You deserved better." I panicked. "I thought I was protecting both of us. You broke my heart." "I'm trying to fix it." She studied him for a long moment, then asked softly, "What if I say I'm scared? Then we'll go slow. I'll even keep the flirting to a minimum." She laughed. "That's the saddest promise I've ever heard." "But I'll keep showing up," he said. "Every day. Until you're not scared anymore." Denise looked away. Because if she looked at him any longer she might cry. Back at her desk she opened her drawer and pulled out an old sticky note. It said, "Daniel Su is ice cold. Remember this. Also, stop daydreaming." She smiled, tore it in half and tossed it in the trash. Then she opened her email and typed, "To Daniel Su. Subject, regarding your donut bribe. I accept. Under one condition. You don't get to run away next time we crash into feelings. Denise." His reply came in seconds. Subject, donut bribe. Deal. Also, I found another mug in the kitchenette. It says CO of my heart. Yours. He grinned. Maybe it was time to stop running too. Chapter 6. Collision Course. By the end of the week, the entire office knew something was up. Daniel Su, the untouchable CO, the man known for his glacial professionalism and soul-piercing stares, was smiling. Smiling. He didn't yell when the monthly report arrived 2 hours late. He didn't scoff when someone suggested team-building charades at the upcoming retreat. He even chuckled when someone slipped on a rogue glitter pen left behind by Denise 2 months ago. Clearly the world was ending. Denise, for her part, tried to be subtle. But subtlety had never been her strength. So when she reappeared on the executive floor with her logistics-issued laptop and a coffee cup that read "Property of Hot CEOs Anonymous," no one was surprised. Not even Claire from HR, who simply muttered, "Took him long enough," and went back to her yogurt. Daniel passed her in the hallway, stopped and whispered, "You realize that cup is going to cause a workplace panic?" He grinned. "Not my fault if people have weak hearts." You're a menace. I'm your menace. His lips twitched. We'll discuss disciplinary action over dinner. That night, dinner turned into a rooftop meal at Daniel's penthouse. He tried to cook. Keyword, tried. Denise found him glaring at a pan like it had personally insulted his business degree. You bought duck breast? She asked, amused. I watched a YouTube tutorial. That's adorable. Step aside, Gordon Ramsay. She took over, sleeves rolled up, hair tied in a messy bun. Daniel leaned against the counter, watching her move around the kitchen like she belonged there. She caught him staring. What? Nothing, he said softly. Just, this feels nice. She glanced at him, eyes wary. You sure it's not just novelty? Temporary infatuation with your former stalker secretary? His expression turned serious. You were never a stalker. You were just relentless. And brave. And annoyingly persistent. Thanks, she said with a snort. But it worked, he added. I'm here. And I'm not going anywhere. After dinner they sat under the stars with wine and leftover dessert. Denise curled up beside him, the city lights below them like a glittering sea. Can I ask you something? She murmured. Anything. Were you ever going to admit you liked me? Daniel hesitated. Eventually. She turned to look at him. Eventually, he repeated, when it was safe. When I wasn't afraid you'd ruin my life in the best way possible. You're so dramatic. I'm dating you. That's baseline now. She laughed, soft and breathless. Then, I was heartbroken, you know. When you pushed me away. He nodded. I was a coward. She nudged him with her shoulder. You're still kind of a coward. Still. I mean, you haven't publicly declared your love via interoffice memo yet. Amateur. Daniel turned to her, eyes gleaming with mischief. Would that help your healing journey? Immensely. Noted. The next morning an all-company memo appeared in everyone's inbox. Subject, staff update. Effective immediately, Miss Denise Chung will resume duties supporting executive leadership, with expanded authority. Also, she's amazing. That is all. D. Sue. It took less than 7 minutes for the office group chat to explode. Denise, sipping her coffee, just smiled and texted him. You're lucky I like bold declarations. He replied. You haven't seen bold yet. Later that day he stopped by her desk with 2 things. 1. A tiny cactus in a pink pot labeled, Office Romance Survivor. 2. A key. She blinked. What's this? Key to my place. In case you ever want to cook duck again. Or yell at me for burning rice. Her heart stuttered. I know we're still figuring this out, he added. But I don't want to take it slow because I'm afraid. I want to take it slow because it's real. Because you matter. She stared at the key in her palm, then back at him. You're lucky I like dramatic men with commitment issues, she whispered. Is that a yes? She stood, wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him. Right there in front of the stunned finance department. It was sweet. Ridiculous. Perfectly scandalous. Just like them. Chapter 7. Jealous Hearts and Company Gossip. If Denise had thought office life was chaotic before, nothing could have prepared her for being publicly adored by the company's most unattainable man. It was official. She had become the main character of the Sue Corp gossip machine. Every elevator ride came with wide eyes and not-so-subtle whispering. Every lunch break turned into a Q&A session. And every glance Daniel sent her way, especially the stupid, soft ones, fueled a new round of speculation. I heard he bought her a Porsche. No, it was a penthouse. Guys, I swear I saw them holding hands in the executive stairwell. Hands were held. Meanwhile, Denise? She was just trying to do her job and survive the burning stairs of HR. You'd think we started a fire in the copy room, she muttered one morning, sipping her coffee as Clara from HR gave her the evil eye from across the hallway. Daniel, lounging in her doorway like a model who had wandered into a corporate building by mistake, just smiled. You did start a fire, he said. She glared. Don't say things like that. They're going to start looking for hidden cameras. You're glowing. That's not glow. That's caffeine and surviving 12 group chats speculating on whether I'm pregnant. His smile widened. Are you? Denise threw a stapler at him. But not everyone was happy. That afternoon, Denise was summoned by Mr. Chin, the CFO, a man who had the warmth of a tax audit. I hope you understand the optics of your situation, he said coolly, folding his hands on his desk. Optics? Denise asked, eyebrow raised. You're dating the CEO. People will talk. They already are, she said. It's not new. I was practically throwing myself at him for a year, remember? That's the issue. Her smile faded. I'm not here to relitigate my behavior, she said calmly. Or his. I'm doing my job. Better than most. Chin gave her a long, disapproving stare. You were unprofessional, Miss Chung. And yet here I am, promoted and competent, she said. If there's a policy being violated, I'm happy to address it. Otherwise, I'd prefer to return to work. You're bold. I'm dating Daniel Su, she said with a smile. Wouldn't have gotten this far if I wasn't. She told Daniel about the meeting that night as they walked through a quiet bookstore. He frowned. Chin had no right to talk to you like that. It's okay, she said, sliding a fantasy novel from the shelf. I stood up for myself. You shouldn't have to defend being with me. I don't mind. As long as you don't hide it. He looked at her. I'm not hiding anything. I want the world to know you're mine. She glanced up. Even if it gets messy? It's already messy, he said. And I've never been happier. She flushed, ducking behind a stack of paperbacks. Ugh. Used to be cold and terrifying. I like that version. This one's ruining my emotional armor. Get used to it. The next day, Daniel walked into a staff meeting late. Denise was already there, taking notes, completely unfazed by his entrance. But as he passed her, he dropped a tiny heart-shaped post-it on her tablet. She glanced at it discreetly. Said, let's run away after this. The beach. Or tacos. Or both. D. She smiled, lips twitching. And across the table, Daniel Su, the famously unreadable CEO, smiled right back. The CFO nearly choked on his coffee. Later that evening they sat barefoot on the sand, the sky washed in pink and orange. Daniel handed her a taco, then leaned back on his elbows. Do you think we're crazy? I think we're chaotic, she said. But the good kind. You still scare me. You still need therapy. He laughed, deep and easy. Probably. They fell into a companionable silence. Then Daniel said almost shyly, sometimes I wonder how long it'll last. Denise turned to him. You mean us? He nodded. I've never done this. Been in something that mattered this much. She took his hand. I don't know how long anything lasts, she said. But if it ends, it won't be because we didn't fight for it. He looked at her like she'd just solved the equation of his heart. I love you, Denise Chung. She blinked. Say that again. Slower. With more fireworks. I love you. He grinned. God, finally. That only took 2 demotions, 3 HR complaints, and 1 glitter explosion. He pulled her into his arms, laughing. Worth it. Chapter 8, Forever Maybe. Denise Chung never thought her biggest romantic gesture would involve a boardroom, a pie chart, and exactly 0 glitter. But here she was, wearing a power suit, clicking through slides in front of the executive team. Not for him. For her. For the next quarter, she said, laser pointer in hand, I'm recommending a structural shift that decentralizes minor project approvals, reduces choke points, and gives more authority to department heads. That means less bottlenecking and more efficiency, especially when our CEO is mysteriously unavailable every Friday afternoon. A few chuckles rippled through the room. Daniel Su, sitting at the head of the table, didn't even blink. But he was smiling. Not the polite CEO-approved one. The real one. The one he saved for late-night tacos and sleepy bookstore strolls. After the meeting, Denise was ambushed by her team, most of whom looked like they wanted to build her a shrine. That was epic. You roasted the entire exec board and they thanked you. Do you give motivational speeches? Because I need one before I ask for a raise. She smiled, waved them off and headed back to her office, where Daniel was already waiting. Leaning against her desk, arms crossed, expression smug. That was hot, he said. You're such a disaster, she replied fondly. He stepped closer. A disaster who just witnessed his girlfriend eviscerate 3 board members and casually suggest operational reform like it was a brunch menu. Denise, marry me. She blinked. You're joking. I'm not. She stared at him, then laughed, once loud and startled. You're proposing in my office? Post-meeting? After I gave a PowerPoint presentation? He shrugged. It felt right. I'm not wearing makeup. You're wearing confidence. That's better. Denise opened her mouth, then closed it again. This was not how she imagined it. No candles. No rings. No dramatic orchestra. Just Daniel Su, ridiculous, intense, brilliant Daniel, looking at her like she was his entire future. You really mean it, she whispered. I love you. I like you. I respect you. And I want to be with you every Monday morning, every boring meeting, every glitter-filled disaster. Forever if you let me. She swallowed hard, then reached into her drawer, pulled out a cheap plastic ring from an old birthday prank, slid it onto his finger. Fine, she said, voice wobbly. But only if you never propose like that again. I want fireworks next time. There's going to be a next time? Obviously. This one doesn't count. We're redoing it with a mariachi band and a flash mob. He grinned, kissed her breathless and whispered, whatever you want, Miss Chung. 3 months later they threw the most uncorporate wedding in history. It involved a taco truck, their entire office, a surprise musical number from Clara in HR, and Daniel walking down the aisle to a piano cover of Beyoncé's Crazy in Love. Denise wore sneakers under her dress. Daniel cried during the vows. And the after-party featured a PowerPoint titled, The Rise and Reign of Denise Chung, from Secretary to CEO of Daniel Su's Heart. Slide 1. Her first day in the office. Slide 2. The glitter incident. Slide 3. That elevator accidental encounter. Slide 4. The rooftop kiss. Slide 5. A selfie of them laughing in pajamas mid-taco bite. Slide 6. Just read. Forever starts now. Bonus chapter. After the I do. Denise Chung had always assumed married life with Daniel Su would feel like an eternal power meeting. Scheduled, efficient, quiet. Instead it was utter chaos. Sweet, hilarious, sometimes glittery chaos. Take Monday morning, for example. Denise woke up to Daniel blow-drying toast. She stumbled into the kitchen, bleary-eyed and wearing his old university hoodie. What are you doing? He didn't even flinch. The toaster broke. I'm innovating. You're using my hairdryer. Correction, our hairdryer. Communal assets now, Mrs. Su. She blinked. I regret everything. No, you don't. He didn't. Not one bit. Later that day, Daniel sent her a voice memo. FYI, the dog adoption center called. They have a beagle named Sir Snugglesworth. Thoughts? He texted back. Absolutely not. 10 minutes later, another voice memo. He has floppy ears, Denise. Floppy ears. I'm in love. By Thursday, Sir Snugglesworth was sleeping on her foot during a Zoom meeting with Tokyo. Her boss raised an eyebrow. Is that a dog in your lap? Daniel off-camera whispered, tell them he's your emotional support intern. She didn't blink. Yes. He's in HR training. On weekends they turned their shared chaos into something surprisingly functional. Daniel learned how to grocery shop without an Excel sheet. Denise figured out how to use a calendar without setting 12 alarms. They painted their kitchen badly. She spilled lavender paint on the dog. He got purple in his hair. They declared it modern art and made waffles. But marriage wasn't all glitter and inside jokes. There were disagreements. Fights about dishwashing strategies. Passive-aggressive post-its. An infamous moment where Denise dramatically packed a bag, declared she was moving to Bora Bora to marry a dolphin, and then sat in the hallway for 20 minutes waiting for Daniel to stop laughing. But they always came back to each other. Always chose them. One night, months into married life, they lay in bed, tangled in each other in cheap throw pillows. Denise sighed. "Do you ever miss the old days? You mean when you were my secretary/menace?" She laughed. "Yeah. Back when it was all tension and denial and forbidden hallway glances." He rolled toward her. "You want more drama?" He grinned. "Maybe." Daniel leaned in, eyes gleaming. "Miss Chung, please step into my office. We need to discuss your behavior." "Oh. Are we role-playing now?" "Absolutely." And just like that, they were back to square one. Except now the office was their home, the tension was play, and the denial had been replaced with a ridiculous, undeniable kind of love. Denise Chung chased a man once. No. She couldn't walk through the living room without him chasing her back. Usually with a dog leash in one hand and a bag of glitter in the other. Bonus chapter. Daniel Su, in his own words. "People think I'm calm, collected, the CO archetype. And maybe I was before her. Before Denise Chung barged into my life like a glitter-fueled storm and made everything unbearably loud, unbearably inconvenient, and unbearably worth it. Let me be honest. I noticed her the second she walked into the building. Not because she was beautiful, though she was. Not even because she was efficient, though that helped. It was because she didn't fit. She wore neon heels to executive briefings. She decorated her cubicle with anime figurines and motivational stickers that said things like, "SOI Queen." She called me boss man once and then claimed it was a typo. I should have fired her then. I didn't. I should have said something when she left sticky notes on my desk with flirty doodles. I didn't. I should have stopped her when she accidentally spilled glitter in my coffee. I didn't. Because part of me, some part one didn't want to admit existed, liked it. The chaos. The color. The way she never treated me like I was untouchable. He treated me like I was human. And God help me, I wanted to stay in her orbit even if it made me look like a fool. But then I cracked. She danced into my office one afternoon humming and wearing a ridiculous headband with cat ears, and I thought, I can't keep pretending this woman isn't the highlight of my day. So I let her go. It was cruel, but I thought I was doing her a favor. Giving her a clean slate. Letting her move on. What I didn't realize was, I couldn't. Watching her walk out of that office broke something I hadn't even known could break. I told myself it was for the best. Told myself she'd find someone less complicated. Someone who didn't come with boardroom battles and workaholic baggage. But she didn't want simple. She wanted me. And she came back. Stronger, sharper, and somehow even more impossible to ignore. This time she wasn't chasing me. This time I chased her. Every look she gave me, every sarcastic remark. It was earned. Because when I finally kissed her, finally said her name like it belonged in my mouth, it wasn't a gamble. It was a promise. Now she's my wife. My chaos. My calm. My everything. She still wears cat ears sometimes. Still spills glitter in weird places. Still sends me doodles during meetings. Except now they say things like, "Sir Snugglesworth wants a raise," and "Stop staring, you sap." And I do stare. Every day. Because no merger, no stock price, no sleek skyscraper means more to me than Denise Chung laughing in our kitchen. She didn't just break through my walls, she renovated them. And I will spend the rest of my life thanking her for it. Daniel Susio. Husband. Official human holder of the Glitter Queen's heart. Bonus chapter. Denise Chung, all in. When I first walked into Su Corporation I had one goal. Make enough money to move out of my cousin's apartment before I accidentally killed his tarantula. Love wasn't on the list. Definitely not falling for my CEO. And absolutely not falling so hard I'd make a complete fool of myself on the daily. But then I saw him. Daniel Su. Ice-cold exterior. Jawline carved by the gods. The emotional range of a particularly unbothered houseplant. And I thought, challenge accepted. I started small. Sticky notes with puns. Don't work too studiously. Heart-shaped paper clips. Random delivery of his favorite coffee, accidentally, paid for with my own card. He ignored it. I tripled down. There was glitter. There was an extremely embarrassing incident involving a karaoke machine and a love song I rewrote to be about corporate synergy. There was a Valentine's card I sent via internal mail that said, I may be your secretary, but I'd like to schedule a meeting with your heart. He didn't fire me, which was basically a love confession. Right. Then he let me go. Coldly. Quietly. Like I was just an item in the quarterly report. Outdated, replaceable. I didn't cry at work. I had dignity. Okay, I cried in the elevator. But still, semi-dignified. It wasn't just about losing my job. It was about losing him. Because somewhere between my shameless antics and his silent stares, I'd fallen for the real Daniel. The one who loved black coffee and late meetings. The one who stared out the window like he was looking for something but didn't know what. The one who once picked glitter out of his suit jacket for 2 straight hours without yelling. The man I wanted to annoy for the rest of my life. So I rebuilt. I worked hard. Leveled up. Relearned who I was without him. And then when fate and Clara from HR tossed us back together, I didn't chase him. I made him see me. Not as a secretary. Not as a joke. As a woman who knew what she wanted. And still ridiculously wanted him. The day he kissed me, I swear the universe paused for dramatic effect. All the years of making a fool of myself, of fighting to be noticed, melted away in one quiet, trembling breath. And then I knew. I'm not just in love with Daniel Su. I'm in love with the future I see when he looks at me. No. We bicker about laundry. He steals my snacks. I find glitter in his suit jackets and he pretends to be annoyed. But at night when he pulls me close and whispers my name like it's sacred, I realize. I didn't just win over the cold Sue. I melted him. And I built a home in the heart he didn't think he had. Denise Chung, Secretary of Shenanigans. CEO of our chaos. Forever Daniel Su's favorite problem.